This is purely a journalistic point of view. Nothing more has been said in this video other than that of which has been reported by various media sources and backed up with sources seen at the end of this video.
A revolutionary force, not only in women's wrestling, but all of wrestling. Joanie Laurer went from Hunter Hearst Helmsley's storyline bodyguard to an active competitor, accomplishing what no woman had done before, winning the Intercontinental Championship and competing in both the Royal Rumble and the King of the Ring. At one point, she was slated for a match for the WWF Championship. Laura's future seemed as bright as any male superstar. Then, a cruel reversal of fortune saw Chyna dismissed from the WWF, with her succumbing to personal demons. Like her male counterparts, she found that the world of professional wrestling carries many dangers, ready to prey upon its workers. Join us now as Behind the Titantron examines the Self Destruction of Chyna. By 1999, Joanie Laurer's Chyna character had gone from D-Generation X's bodyguard to an in-ring performer. In January 1999, Chyna became the first woman to enter the Royal Rumble, drawing lucky number 30 and eliminating Mark Henry before Stone Cold Steve Austin eliminated her. Later that year, she competed in the King of the Ring, defeating Val Venis in the first round before losing to Road Dogg in round 2. Her opportunities continued as she became the first female to become #1 contender for the WWF Championship. Despite losing to Mankind, it was a considerable achievement. Although Chyna had wrestled women on the independent circuit, she wanted to compete against men as she feared she might hurt female opponents. As might be expected, she faced resistance from some men in the locker room, but eventually established herself as a credible opponent for male superstars. Jim Ross remembers, initially a lot of old-timers, including myself, didn't think it was appropriate, but she overcame all of their apprehension and proved people wrong. Chyna was a trailblazer. She broke all kinds of barriers. This was evident when she challenged Jeff Jarrett for his Intercontinental Championship, defeating him at No Mercy in a good housekeeping match. Chyna held the belt until December's Armageddon, where Chris Jericho won the belt. 2000 saw Chyna's star continuing to rise, both in the WWF and out. Chyna's storyline romance with Eddie Guerrero was well received, and Laurer began branching out into television roles, including appearances on the NBC sitcom Third Rock from the Sun, USA Network's Pacific Blue, and the film Alien Fury: Countdown to Invasion. She also posed nude in the November issue of Playboy, which sold over 1 million copies. Her success continued into 2001 as she found herself on the cover of TV Guide and Newsweek and appeared on Good Morning America and The Tonight Show. Her 2001 memoir of If They Only Knew entered the New York Times bestseller list. Life was certainly good for the ninth wonder of the world, and she seemed to find the satisfaction she'd struggled for her entire life. While things appeared to be going well for Chyna, forces were moving behind the scenes to destroy her WWF career. She had become romantically involved with Triple H. In her autobiography, she recalls having feelings for him when they trained together. Things eventually blossomed into romance, but unbeknownst to Chyna, Triple H was becoming romantically involved with Stephanie McMahon. She reportedly found a love letter from Stephanie in Triple H's briefcase, confirming what she suspected. Naturally, she was devastated, but even today, there are conflicting accounts of whether Chyna was dating Helmsley when he took up with Stephanie. Some believe the Chyna-Helmsley romance was doomed either way. Laura's sister, Kathy Hamilton, believes they wouldn't have lasted whether Stephanie came into the picture or not. I have no animosity toward Paul. He was very good to Joanie. He cared about her deeply, but she just had too many issues. Laurer left the WWF in 2001, but there are conflicting reports of why. Conventional wisdom has it she was let go because of the tension between Chyna and the Stephanie McMahon Triple H couple. However, there is also a story that Chyna made unrealistic demands for her new contract, and the WWF let the contract lapse in November 2001. According to Laura's sister, Chyna was offered $400,000 a year by the WWF, but wanted a base salary of $1 million, which Jim Ross described, "It was an outrageous demand that wasn't even realistic." In 2002, she obtained her boxing license and faced Joey Buttafuoco on Fox Network's second celebrity boxing episode, losing to him. From there, Chyna resurfaced in wrestling, working in New Japan Pro Wrestling for singles and tag team matches against male opponents. Although sports entertainment was still an option, Laurer wanted to break out into modeling and acting. However, a new relationship and new lifestyle both got in the way of Laurer's aspirations. According to a 2016 story, Laurer began partying heavily in 2002, around the time of her second Playboy appearance. By 2003, she announced her engagement to wrestler Sean Waltman, aka X-Pac. The relationship proved toxic as Laurer began using drugs, including crystal meth, with Waltman. "I didn't do her any favors. I was so fucked up I couldn't even take care of myself. I had no business trying to help someone else." Her personal demons led to her missing casting calls, hurting a promising Hollywood career. Laurer, however, managed to keep her fans entertained, albeit in a much different way. In 2004, Waltman and Chyna released a homemade sex tape, One Night in China, in 2004, which won AVN's 2006 award for best-selling title. Laurer then appeared in several more pornographic videos, including 2009's Another Night in China, 2011's AVN award-winning Backdoor to China, and appearances as a She-Hulk parody in Avengers XXX, a porn parody, and She-Hulk XXX, a porn parody. Although she reportedly made good money from some of her videos, it's believed the films had a chance to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame at the time. Her problems were exacerbated by personal demons, drugs and alcohol. Given the physical, emotional and sexual abuse she experienced growing up, it's little surprise she sought comfort with drugs and alcohol. Many of those close to Laurer reached out to help her, often suffering for their efforts. Laura's sister Kathy had helped Joanie years earlier when she invited her to work with her selling pages. In March 2003, Kathy travelled to her sister's home, pleading with her to seek help for her substance abuse problems. Kathy couldn't believe the change in her sister. "I didn't recognize the person I saw that day. It was like the devil had invaded Joanie's body." Joanie eventually agreed to rehab, flying to a facility in Utah. However, once she got there, she stormed out after shouting, "I don't know why the fuck I'm here. I'm not doing this." According to Laura's sister Kathy, Joanie never spoke to her again, but instead sent threatening postcards, emails and faxes, maintaining a vitriolic correspondence. Laurer and Sean Waltman's life became tabloid fodder as the two seemed constantly at odds. A 2005 domestic abuse altercation allegedly involved Laurer beating up Waltman in front of his kids. She was also reportedly involved in an incident in the Big Apple where she drunkenly jumped into a fish tank at a New York nightclub. Laura's appearance on season 4 of VH1's The Surreal Life showed fans how far she had fallen, with her being constantly drunk. She then found occasional work in Hollywood, appearing in 2006's Just Another Wrestling romantic comedy and 2007's Illegal Aliens. In 2007, she legally changed her name to Chyna after the WWE prevented her from using her stage name. Chyna appeared in 2007's The Surreal Life Fame Games, but it would be her 2008 appearance on Celebrity Rehab that continued to showcase her losing battle with addiction. At one point, Chyna was hospitalized on her birthday after she was found passed out with cuts on her arms. Chyna was reportedly so drunk that medical workers could not conduct a psychiatric evaluation. Chyna's life had become a revolving door of sobriety and intoxication as she struggled to gain fame and stability she'd found in the WWF. With roles scarce in Hollywood, a failed singing career, and Playboy reportedly refusing to work with her, her options seemed limited. Sadly, Chyna could not latch onto this as she kept being pulled down by substance abuse and arguably mental illness. A short run in TNA wrestling in 2011 showed promise, but nothing came of it. In July 2012, Chyna's friend Natasha Barden found Chyna living in a studio apartment with a drifter named Steven she'd taken in. According to a 2016 article, Barden became concerned when Chyna's Facebook and text messages became depressing. Barden found Laurer chugging Jack Daniels and eventually discovered Chyna's so-called boyfriend Steven had talked her into liquidating a 401k of $140,000 with just $20,000 remaining. Barden convinced Chyna to return with her to her home in Honolulu, Hawaii. There, Barden claims Chyna sobered up but deteriorated when Steven phoned her. Chyna then decided to go to Japan, reportedly hoping to give herself space so she could focus on a recovery that never happened. In a 2016 article, Chyna's former business manager, Yohei Sato, recalls Chyna calling him and Sato finding Chyna in her apartment covered in blood. She had cut deep wounds into her forearm, but survived. Unfortunately, her problems worsened as Japanese doctors tried a variety of drugs for Chyna to cope, only for her to reportedly over-medicate herself. Sato believes it was obvious she had mental illness, and the drugs only made it worse because they made her hallucinate. She'd call me and say the LAPD was outside her apartment with her ex-boyfriend. I'd say, "Chyna, we're in Japan." Chyna repeatedly clashed with the law, including an incident when 12 police cars had to respond to a knife-wielding Chyna. She was taken to Tokyo Metropolitan Matsuzawa Hospital, which focused on patients with mental health problems. She tried to supplement her income by teaching English, but her brush with the law and a later incident where she showed up to work intoxicated led to her dismissal. 2015 saw further troubles for Chyna. In a February interview with Vince Russo, she alleged Triple H physically abused her, claiming, "I think Hunter's plan was to get me to leave the relationship first. That way he could start dating Stephanie and everything would be cool. We got into a heated argument. We were not getting along. I told him, I know something's going on. Don't tell me something's not going on. He swiped my hand, I swiped his hand, and then he hit me. And that's a deal breaker for me. The relationship is now over." After that, I know he was crying, and I know he felt bad that he hit me. I was just in shock. It felt like a Jerry Springer moment. It was very surreal. I just couldn't believe that he hit me. Later that year, Chyna attended Roddy Piper's funeral, where according to Sean Waltman, she allegedly approached Triple H to offer an apology. Waltman claims Triple H told him Chyna had approached him briefly after the funeral and Triple H's security was about to intervene. However, Chyna appeared in a video claiming she was at the funeral, and there was no altercation. According to Chyna, she consoled Helmsley and told him she was sorry for her remarks. Chyna began working with former manager Anthony Anzaldo on a documentary film, The Reconstruction of Chyna. However, Anzaldo became concerned with Chyna's condition, and around the 8th of November 2015, Anzaldo sent an email to Celebrity Rehab's Dr. Drew Polinsky that read, "I have a very serious issue regarding our old friend Chyna. If she doesn't get help ASAP, she will die. The pills, the booze, it's bad." Lasting sobriety eluded Chyna. Anzaldo believes she was a binger. She'd go months without touching drugs and alcohol, and then go crazy on it for 9 to 10 days. It was one extreme or the other. Still in demand, Chyna supplemented her income by making appearances and doing autograph signings. However, her substance abuse problems only worsened. In March 2016, Chyna and Anzaldo were stopped by Canadian Border Patrol agents when they found Chyna intoxicated. Around this time, Anzaldo reportedly was working to get Chyna to meet with her mother, but things fell apart and the reunion never happened. After she missed an autograph signing, she claimed she no-showed the event because she feared Vince McMahon and Sean Waltman were waiting to have her arrested. On the 17th of April 2016, Chyna made her last live appearance to her fans, appearing in a 13-minute YouTube video where she made a smoothie and discussed launching her own health food business. Chyna's video rants were nothing new, but behind the scenes, her friends were attempting to get her help yet again. According to a 2016 story, her friends were planning to get Chyna on the TV show Intervention. That intervention never happened. And on the 20th of April 2016, Anzaldo found Chyna dead in her Redondo Beach home. On the 22nd of December 2016, The Sun Sentinel reported toxicology tests indicated that Chyna, whose real name was Joanne Marie Chyna, had taken a mix of alcohol and diazepam, which is marketed as Valium, nordiazepam, oxycodone, oxymorphone, and temazepam, a medication used to treat insomnia, according to a Los Angeles County Medical Examiner coroner report. Chyna's memorial service was held, followed by a ceremony where her ashes were scattered at sea. Her memorial service seems surreal if a 2016 story is accurate. The rest of the official remembrance of Chyna often felt more like a production. Tickets were distributed and t-shirts were sold than a memorial. Coolio performed, Barry Williams, the guy who played Greg Brady on the Brady Bunch, was there, as were Flick from A Christmas Story and Joey Buttafuoco, who defeated Chyna in a celebrity boxing match in 2002. All of them knew Laurer, but not really. Only about 400 people showed up to pay tribute to a woman who once wrestled before a crowd of 68,000. Chyna's mother and siblings chose not to make the trip west. The WWE did not send any representatives. Other than Waltman, the only notable wrestlers in attendance were former stars Melina and Rob Van Dam, both of nearby Los Angeles and neither whom ever worked with Chyna. Joanie Laurer found incredible success and fame as Chyna, but she did not find lasting peace. Her sister Kathy stated, "All I kept thinking after she died was that poor girl. She wanted so badly to be loved and accepted, but she never had a loving, connective relationship with anyone. People just used her and sucked her dry." Chyna's former fiancé Sean Waltman lamented, "I should have left her in better shape, but I didn't, and now she's dead. I feel so fucking bad about that. As awful as it sounds, in my heart, I knew this was how it would end." So many questions remain about the rise and fall of Joanie Chyna Laurer. How much of Chyna's past contributed to her subsequent battles with addiction? Did her departure from the WWF have any connection with her drug and alcohol battles? What, if any, did the physical impact of wrestling have on Chyna's personal demons? Her brain was donated to chronic traumatic encephalopathy research, a condition which has become linked with professional wrestlers. According to an NBC Los Angeles report, CTE has been diagnosed in the brains of several former NFL players. The progressive, degenerative disease of the brain, which can only be diagnosed after death, has been found in athletes who have a history of repeated blows to the head and concussions. According to the story, Chyna had been approached about participating in the concussion-related injury lawsuit against the WWE, but declined to do so. Chyna's career changed the place of women in professional wrestling. But what if she had remained in the WWF? How much further would Chyna have gone in the WWF? Would she have competed for the WWF Championship? Would she have won it? Wrestling fans will never know. Chyna's life and career is best defined by the words of poet John Greenleaf Whittier, who wrote, "For all sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest are these. It might have been." Well guys, I hope you enjoyed episode 26 of Behind the Titantron. By the time this video is up, we may have hit 100,000 subscribers, and to celebrate the occasion, we will have a special Behind the Titantron episode for episode 27. So be sure to tune in by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. As always, I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.